Sorry I haven't made a video in a bit of a while. I've been busy doing revision for the under 15s and the people who live not in England. You will not know that GCSEs are coming up and are perilously close, so Ike must spend all of his lovely Easter break revising. So, about the kind of video style, first off, the news thing I like to do, but I'm going to do other stuff as well, maybe, like, news not so often. I'll throw in some vlogs, some more, like, creative videos. That doesn't even mean anything. And less of the news. But the other ones will take planning, and I'm just going to make a video now, so, on with the news!
When you see my face, hope it gives you hell, hope it gives you hell. When you walk my way, hope it gives you hell, hope it gives you hell. If you find a man that's worth the damn and treats you well, then he's a fool, you're just as well, hope it gives you hell.
So, the first thing I wanted to talk about was two boys, aged 10 and 11, have been arrested over the stabbing of another 11-year-old and his 9-year-old friend. I think even more disturbing than the fact that people who aren't even maybe at secondary school yet have committed what has to be treated as attempted murder is the fact that I remember when I was quite young, there was this case where a small boy called Jamie Bulger was taken by two kids around the age of 11 and 12, and they took him and killed him, and he was a toddler, he was like 2, and massive uproar about it. It was maybe the biggest thing in the news, or at least arguably one of the biggest in the 90s, and now this obviously is a big deal, but it's just treated like news, and I hate to say it, but it's treated like, this sounds really bad, like an average stabbing, and that sounds bad, but this should be a really special case. And what I'm saying is 15 odd years ago, when the other one happened, that was huge, there was massive uproar, protest for years, and I'm sure there'll be uproar about this, but this seems to be treated like the kind of the teenage 20-year-old ones, and it's not. And I think it is because of those that now people, and this sounds horrible as well, has become almost desensitised to it. And yeah, it's made front page news, but that's all it's made, front page news, and I think it should be more than that. I sound like an old person. Society's gone down the tubes, but no, in fairness, I don't want to joke about this, because it has, and it's really despicable, I think, the fact that there isn't an equal uproar as there was to this, and people will argue, yeah, the perpetrators are the same age, but the victims aren't, and I think that's a really terrible argument, because on the one hand, in my belief, murder is murder, and I think the thing that could affect it is the youngness of the people doing it, because that shows, you know, that there is, you know, anyone who commits murder is disturbed, but the fact that that has happened to you at such a young age is amazing. But I don't think murder's any worse if it's a 3-year-old or an 11-year-old or a 24-year-old. People say, oh, they had so much more, you know, essentially what the problem is that a 2-year-old only got 2 years alive, a 24-year-old on the other hand gets 24, and in the end it's that neither of them should have been killed. He said today that he wants the Iraqis to take responsibility for their countries, something that every redneck who didn't vote for him and hated him and said he was a socialist will be going, yes, we were right, he can't hold up a war that costs millions of pounds each year. This is more of just Obama being quite sensible, and people aren't used to it, let's face it. People have lived with Bush, who might as well have gone, can we go to the Middle East and build a helicopter out of oil? Okay, I'm going to cut that, that's a terrible accent. In a news day that is clearly so slow I'm having to talk about stuff twice, Michael Parkinson has hit out at the media for exploiting Jay Goody. Basically, his point is that they were all treated her despicably while she was alive, and have kind of backtracked and gone, oh no, she's died now in a horrible way, and she's made an appeal and caused loads of young women to be tested for cancer, we have to backtrack. So I think I can take the high point. I was horrible and rude to her even after she died. I didn't go back. If I was the son, which, God forbid, I will never become, I would have gone, Jade Goody, the pig is dead. That's a horrible thing to say. In a news story that makes me lose respect for the Japanese consumer majority, the PlayStation has outsold the Wii. Even though Nintendo and Sony are both Japanese, fit your stereotype, people. Everyone knows Nintendo is Japanese. Nintendo is the most Japanese thing in Britain. That came out wrong. All I'm saying is Sony could be from anywhere. Listen to Sony. Nintendo, that sounds like a Pokemon who's going to stab you in the face with a hat. Let's face it though, the consumers aren't going to spend their hard-earned cash based on the name of the company who makes the product. What I'm astounded at is that the Wii is kind of better, and I don't mean better as in a better console. The Wii has the aspect of the whole party game thing, whereas the PlayStation has the serious games. Come on, you're not going to want to play a shoot 'em up on that little Wii stick thing doing that. The Wii's obviously cheaper and better value for money, I would say. I think it kind of almost takes a commitment to buy a PS3, because when you buy a PS3, you're spending so much money that you have to be absolutely sure you're going to play that PS3. That PS3 can't just sit in the corner, you know? It's like going, am I going to buy this holiday home in Geneva? What if I don't use it? You know, for no other reason than Geneva would be a stupid place to buy a holiday home. The PS3 was essentially a flop for numerous reasons, and the fact that the Wii, which, you know, comes with so many of the Japanese really loved games, like Mario, is being outsold by it just astounds me. And finally, as nothing else has been going on, I've delved deep into the pages of BBC News and found a brilliant story about how camels are given beer to increase their speed in camel racing. That story is ludicrous on so many levels. Camel racing? Beer? Increasing speed? Okay, the last one you might think, that's not ludicrous. Come on, you want to win that camel race. That camel race is competitive. You don't want Jim Bob over there beating you on his old stallion. His is brown, yours is mouse coloured. Makes you feel deficient about yourself. Your wife just left you. It's horrible. But I like the way they've gone, you know what might increase this camel's capacity for speed? The same thing that increases my speed. Booze. Because I'm a strange and odd child with a lot of time on my hands, I wonder about things like, who invented bread? Because you try and make bread, you gotta get your water, your flour, your other stuff, you put it in the thing, you mix it together, you make the dough, then you bake the dough. You're like, surely you would have given up at dough. You'd have made this, you'd have put the salt and the water and the flour and all together and, oh my god, it's made something. And then you'd be like, this tastes ridiculously horrible. It just tastes a bit salty. Oh yeah, also yeast. Yeast is bacteria. Did someone just go, well, I've got my water, my flour, oh no, I've spilt yeast, I'm just going to have to use it now. Well, that's a shame. It's a similar thing. Because they can't have come up with that scientifically. They can't have had a scientist going, how am I going to have the edge, Doc? How am I going to have the edge over these other camels? You've got to give it some lager, mate. I like the way as soon as I mentioned lager, the doctor went Australian. Very slightly, but he still went Australian. All I'm saying is I can see no way other than them getting either very drunk or getting like going and buying everything at Sainsbury's and trying it. Okay, that's it for today. Subscribe for more kind of vlogs and creative and less of this. Yeah, exactly. If you didn't like this, subscribe, because I'm not doing it very much. Rate it nicely. Comment down there. Watch it in high quality just over there. Nintendo, that sounds like a Pokemon who's going to stab you in the face with a hat.